So Jacob Wolf broke the news on ESPN recently that Team Liquid is coming close to signing a contract with Alphari to bring him over as their new top laner, which would mean not re-signing Impact. Obviously, Impact was a free agent. Broxa, Jensen also free agents. This is a very influential piece of news. I wouldn't say it's necessarily super surprising. If you've been in the Oracle's Elixir Discord at all, we've been talking about the potential of Team Liquid going after the Alphari and Santorin combo for months. It feels like since early in summer even, and kind of the plan A that we would always kind of land on together is it would be awesome for Team Liquid to re-sign Jensen, import Alphari, and sign Santorin away from FlyQuest. So this news is not really a surprise. I don't think it should catch anyone off guard. The only thing that might be a little surprising about it is just the need to import and kind of the COVID era and the challenges of potentially getting a visa and bringing him over at all. I can see that being, there are going to be some hurdles there. I don't think it'll be, it's a lot easier to import Alphari than it would be a lot of other players, depending on kind of where they come from and so on. But this is definitely the move that Team Liquid, I assume, was always wanting to make, was always kind of looking for and working towards. And as soon as Origin, gave permission for their players to start talking to other teams and kind of said, hey, we're branding to Australis, all that news came out, releasing Deficio to work somewhere else. All of these things came together, and I'm sure Team Liquid jumped on that immediately and said, hey, look, Alphari, come over here. We're going to be the best team in the region. We're going to give you more money than anyone else is going to give you. The news from ESPN says, a little north of $1 million, probably a little less than Impact's 1.1 that he's been earning for the past while. So, from Alphari's perspective, I think there are a lot of good reasons that he'd consider this. Coming to NA, much more likely he's going to win a title. Maybe an LCS title doesn't hold as much weight as an LEC title, but it's still a title. It gets you to Worlds, gets you a chance to compete. And he can pretty quickly, arguably a lot of people would say he was the best top laner, or at least top 2, 3 in the LEC, and he should probably be top 1, 2 in the LCS right away. He does a lot of great things for this team, assuming that he does join TL. I think the only reason I wouldn't say he'd be immediate best top in the LCS is that Someday is super good, but the teams that they both play within would be a little different. So I think Alphari, depending what happens with the roster around Someday, he may or may not be able to rival Alphari for actual performance if they both come in. But yeah, no, I think Alphari is a huge upgrade for Team Liquid, honestly, and that might seem a little too generous, given that Impact, is by no means a poor player, and he's been such a big part of Team Liquid's success in the recent years. But there's a completely different comparison between Alphari and Impact. Impact has this really long-term legacy. He's just like a mega veteran, and you can't really match his level of experience and what he's achieved, being a former world champion and playing in Korea, coming over to North America, all of these things. But I don't think that's a big enough advantage to justify keeping Impact over the potential bringing in someone like Alphari. Alphari is far more flexible. He can, he played 10 different champions in 18 games in Summer Split. He plays all of the different varieties, like styles of champions, which is something that was really a limitation with Impact. Team Liquid were never really comfortable, or maybe it's whether it's on Impact or whether it's on the team, it's hard to say, but with putting Impact on carries, giving him the resources, investing jungle time into him, basically making him the strong side. And it's been quite a long time since we saw Impact comfortable with playing that style. And Alphari comes in and he gives them that option immediately, which is really big for Team Liquid as a way to kind of upgrade their team as a whole. That's not to say that a team can't succeed with a top laner who is much more comfortable in a specific style. Team Liquid actually did quite, compared to expectations, they did fairly well at Worlds, and they showed they could take down top teams, even with that limitation of maybe not being able to put Impact on these really high pressure carries or split pushers or whatever it is, letting them play Camille or stuff like that. So having Alphari coming in and being able to play that role gives them gives them some more tools in their toolkit. And I don't think they need Impact's greater experience or maybe kind of the mindset he brings as much as they need that kind of tactical flexibility. Speaking of which, there is an opportunity for Tactical to kind of prove that he can be flexible enough to play that way, that they're not going to, if his team is not going to play so much mid lane into bot lane, or, you know, scaling team fights or whatever that's going to be, he is going to have to show that he can be a little more flexible. But I don't really have doubts on that. You know, he's a young enough player. He's got core JJ and a coaching staff with him to help him flex into that. And I'm not really concerned that that's going to be a problem for them. Yeah, the downsides of having Alphari in are similar to when they moved out Xmithy and brought in Broxa, which is a move I was in favor of at the time because I thought Team Liquid needed that little bit of extra kind of dynamism, that little bit of extra kind of willingness to do something aggressive, to not play just the right way all the time, but do something unexpected. And I thought Broxa could bring that, and it turned out that it didn't really click, and he didn't really bring that. But in a bit of a similar vein, you know, I think there's a risk that removing Impact kind of changes the team dynamic in a negative way, that maybe his stability or something that he contributes to the kind of the planning or the shot calling gets lost, and that Alphari can't replicate that. You know, there is a balance of, you know, what happens in the jungle as well, because I'm pretty sure Team Liquid aren't going to bring Broxa back. If they bring in someone like Santorin, who has a lot of that stability also, and then Alphari is kind of the dynamic option, then I think it weighs that out quite well. So I think there's a lot less risk in the Alphari pickup than there was in the Broxa pickup. I mean, you can even look at what people on the European side of this are saying, and the way they talked about Broxa at the time and the way they talk about Alphari now, and it's a very different, you know, there are some similarities in character of the move, but I think it's very different in, you know, the quality of player that Alphari is and what Team Liquid are planning to get. So